Hello and welcome. You're watching Cricbuzz Live and it's done. Yes, it's sealed and delivered. A series win for India. India clinched this series 2-1, winning the final T20I by 6 wickets. It wasn't an easy task at all. They'd won the toss, put Australia into bat. Australia put on the board 186, 187 for India to chase. Some great knocks there from David, Green, and some good bowling there as well from Akshar Patel, who might just be the contender for the player of the series. In India's response, Virat Kohli held fort. Hardik Pandya, Suryakumar Yadav batted around him. India winning the game by 6 wickets with just one ball to spare. With me, Mr. Ajay Jadeja, Joy Bhattacharjya, gentlemen, welcome. And AJ, I think this officially answers the question that we asked you in the pre-match show, that Virat Kohli has perhaps been, as you said, given this role, and when batters bat around him, when this plan works, it looks really good.
I mean, that's the key to Indian cricket. I mean, it's been that for a while, for a long time. I mean, there was a period where Virat Kohli would score runs, and if there was anything, it was, Mahendra Singh Dhoni would, finish it off at the end. But now, with the personnel changing around Virat Kohli, it's made it easier for him, and it's made it easier for everyone else around him to play at a whole different ball game. And the solidity that Virat Kohli provides. And for me, it's always been the solidity of Virat Kohli, not the striking ability. That's why he was a chase master. He's a chase master because he understands the pace of the game. He may not have the striking ability that a lot of players have around the world and in that Indian team, but there is no one else that I know who has the consistency of Virat Kohli. So if consistency is what you want, this is your man, and he's not shown it today. He's been showing it to you for 10, 12, 15 years. Yeah. It's just that when you expect him to do what the others do, that's when the trouble begins.
Yeah, his role is different, Joy, and that's so true, because today also the openers were out early for Virat Kohli to come in, hold fort, hit his shots. I think he scored 50 of just 37, I think. And with Suryakumar Yadav at the other end, he knew Suryakumar Yadav could accelerate. You needed one solid batter to stay out there throughout the innings, and he stayed out there.
Absolutely, and give the Indian think tank credit for not panicking throughout all this, saying that Virat is definitely a part of the plans, not making Virat ever feel nervous about his role or his position in the team. This is what he has to do. And he needs to bat at 130 because he knows people around him. And the hitters you now have, Suryakumar, Hardik, DK, all of them are meant to score at that 150, 70, 180 run rate. So as long as you have him coming in and giving you the solid 130s, look, there'll be days when the target is 220 when this will not happen. But on 8 times out of 10, the target falls in that area where a solid innings of 130 can be the bulwark around which you design the rest of the batting.
Yeah, and the context of this game, AJ, I mean, this was a crunch game. This is a top-notch opposition, defending champions of the T20 World Cup. Against them, this is a good simulation for Virat Kohli to also, because he wasn't in the group for a while, hadn't been getting those runs. Now, for him to kind of restructure this chase the way he did today, that would give him also a lot of confidence.
Oh, certainly it'll give him confidence. And we heard when just before that Asia Cup, when he came out and talked about his issues, it was never the game, it was more mental. And once you get over that barrier, it just releases you. And ever since then, he's just carried on doing what he does best. Of course, that 100 came, which surprised him more than anyone else. Yeah. Because this format is not what he was expecting it to do it. But it just takes the monkey off the bag. That number of that 100 was there. So now even if it's not 100, if it's a 30, it looks good. It's 60, looks good. Everything else looks good. And I think he's found, within that team, like Joyda said, I mean, there was a confidence that this team has had with players. A lot of people don't agree with how they play or what the style is going to be, but they seem to be happy in that position. They would like to play like that, and I think that's the ultimate. Because if you as players believe in something, even if it's wrong or right, somebody else may think it's wrong, but unless you believe it's right, it's not going to happen as often as you're doing it because somebody else believes it's right.
Yeah.
This is one thing that you see out of this team coming out. And Virat Kohli scoring runs, coming out, not out today. I mean, unfortunately, rare. This is a rare occasion.
Normally
because he gets out. I mean, he's human. But he'd get out early or, not so far. And I can't remember a game. I was trying to think when was the last time Virat Kohli got out in the 20th over chasing when it's already in control. So it rarely happens, and that's bound to happen. Once in a while you'll have these little odd things that happen. But generally with Virat Kohli, that's the solidity that you get. Once he gets in, he makes sure that he's right there till the end, which a lot of young players can learn from. They have greater striking ability. They may have more shots to play. But this is a skill also, and it's a habit. So I imagine if Suryakumar Yadav gets this habit. We see Hardik Pandya actually almost doing it. He's making it into a habit.
Yeah.
So if in a team, if you have 4 or 5 guys who have a habit of on their good day, they will be there till the end, then you have 5 out of 1 chances of, succeeding or failing.
Yeah.
Whereas you have 1 or 2 guys who have to hold that whole innings together, then you're banking only on them. So it is great to see Virat Kohli do it, and I hope the players around them also on their good day, if they can be there till the end, India will win most games.
Yeah. In AJ's words, if you come back with a star against your score, you're a superstar. And when you are a superstar like Virat Kohli, that star, of course, only accentuates the star power. But Joy, would you rate this knock higher than that century against Afghanistan?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing. That's exactly what he said, that was a dead rubber in a dead match. But it was a very, very important century. And people say, no, what's the century? I mean, this match is over. It was a very important century for India and for Virat Kohli. Because what it did is, it's freed him totally.
Yeah.
Okay. And now suddenly that from 70 to 70, I mean, he's got that 100, 3 years waiting for 100. It's happened. So now he's also playing that, I have scored 100 recently. It's not sitting that, okay, so many, 1,000 days since I've scored a century, so many days since I've scored a century. That's over. The clock has been reset.
Yeah.
And therefore, it is important. And sometimes, we look at matches and we don't realize why they're important. This is very important for Virat Kohli therefore it's important for India, because if Virat Kohli is feeling calm about what he's doing and he's playing much more his natural game, he doesn't have the monkey on his back, it's very good for India as well.
Yeah, you could see that in the reception that Rohit Sharma gave him the moment he got out. He was dismissed and he was walking back into the dressing room. Rohit Sharma was right out there to congratulate him, give him a big hug. And that also kind of shows, as AJ mentioned, that this is working to India's plan. They've been backing this plan for a while, despite all the criticisms on the outside. And when it's working, the captain has to be happy. But the one thing that makes everyone happy is Suryakumar Yadav's batting, AJ. And I mean, the one thing that I remember ever since you said that is the impact of a knock. Now, we've seen Suryakumar Yadav. Of course, there aren't string of such big scores. Like, he doesn't score 69 in every game. But every time he scores runs like these, they are impact runs. You remember these knocks.
Yeah, you remember his knocks because, the style of play that he has. One, I mean, from outside, what do we enjoy watching? When you're watching the game, somebody hits 4s and 6s. It's always more enjoyable to watch. It was a day before this game that he walked in. First ball, he played that sweep of his favourite, which normally he gets for 4. He generally starts out with a 4 or a 6. But that's the risk that you take on that day. On a good day, this is what you get. It comes off and then he looks 5 6s, 5 4s, 50 runs and 10 balls. So the rest of the 20 balls is not a problem. So, and this is allowed to do all, allowed is the wrong word, but in a team where you have a Virat Kohli at the other end, it just frees everyone else around to play. So that's why I say in the numbers, it'll look like, Virat Kohli is way behind the others. The others are ahead. But the others are ahead because Virat Kohli is doing the job that he's doing. Yeah. If he is not doing that job, and then this knock of 69 and you get out at that strike rate, you would have fallen short. Yeah. So it's a new style of play that we see. But Suryakumar Yadav is just fabulous to watch. I mean, from a fan's point of view, I mean, if I had to watch somebody now, you want to watch Suryakumar Yadav because, Hardik Pandya has also become this senior statesman. He understands the game. He's not striking at all the time. But with Suryakumar Yadav, he may be old, he may be an old guard in terms of cricket, but his mindset and the way he's approaching the game is like a young man. He's not worried about, what situation the game is at, what is required, what is not required. He's there looking to hit every ball, starting from ball 1 till the ball he gets out. Yeah. Whether you need 8 and over or 12 and over, he's going at that same pace. So it's a double-edged sword, but at the moment, he is fabulous to watch.
But today he was a little different, Joy, wasn't he? I mean, I think of the first 10 balls, he'd scored only 16. And then he started to accelerate. Because I think something that AJ said, that because he's unshackled in his mind, he knows I've got all the shots. Once I'm set, and on a track like this, where there was bounce, the ball was spinning a bit as well, he knew if I get in, I can score those big runs.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, Virat thinks a little like that. Surya doesn't think like that. I had the privilege of spending a season with him. And he's a kind of guy who's a stone-cold killer in the sense that if he gets a ball in the first ball, which is there to be hit for 6, he will go and he'll try that shot. Yeah. If there's a ball to sweep, he'll try it. That's his temperament. When he started, in IPL, when he really became successful was at 2014 season. He was doing what Dinesh Karthik is doing today for India, batting at that number 6, number 7 position as a finisher. And as a finisher, the one thing you have to know is that you don't get balls normally. So you start fast, you start quickly, and you have no other option. So if you get out first ball, you can't blame yourself because it's one of the things, you're taking chances from the very start. And that's Surya's style of play. So when he gets out for a 0, even though he's trying to sweep, it's not that the next time he'll tell himself that, I'll play myself in a little bit more. If he's not hit the first few balls, it means that at that point in time, he didn't think they were worth hitting or he couldn't hit them. But he is not somebody, he doesn't carry history with him too much. He looks at the ball now and he's always looking to attack. I mean, that's what is great about him. He's always looking to attack, and like a good football striker, he's never worried about the last miss. He's just looking at
the next one. Stone Cold Killer. We found a very good name for Sky today. Best middle order batter in the world right now in T20, as you'd say. 160 plus strike rate in the middle overs.
Virat Kohli?
No, Suryakumar Yadav.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Look, who are in line? Let's look at the names.
There are loads of them.
So give me some names. Let's
think
compare.
of the big hitters of the world, the Riley Russos, the Liam Livingstons, the Rajapakshas now after the Asia Cup. Then you've got Asif Ali, Haider Ali from Pakistan as well. So you've got quite a few names there.
Yeah, I mean, as an Indian, you'd pick him. But, I mean, there are many players around who are pretty good. But if you want a headline, yes, that's the man.
Because he delivers those impact runs, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. I mean, there's no doubt about Suryakumar Yadav. But like I said, what is that?
This is the innings progression. So today when he came in, something that was termed a bathtub, a graph from Joy for Australia, was just the opposite of sorts, Joy. I mean, they in the middle, of course, they just flipped the bathtub.
Exactly. They just flipped the bathtub around and just see that. It's a fascinating graph. You will rarely see the second and third spells, the 7 to 15th over dominating over the first 6 and the last 4. Last 5 is something that you'll rarely see.
And that's where Surya shone today.
Absolutely. That's the place Surya, and he did not allow the rate to get to him. But again, he was batting with Kohli and they batted together beautifully. Yeah. See, the big thing about chases is calibrating your chase. How much do I need? So what people do is how much target. So look at that, 104 of 62, which is like pretty much striking at about 167, 168. That's kind of strike rate you're talking about. What the thing about the chase is, what do you allow the run rate to get to? If you can keep it within that 10, 11, 12, and it all varies from batsman to batsman. At his peak, a Dhoni could allow it to go to a 12 and he wouldn't worry about it. But now the Indian team tends to say that, okay, can I keep it within 10, 11? I don't want it to go beyond that for the last 4, 5 overs. And I think that's what Virat calibrates well and say, okay, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to try and hit the first ball or discussing with the other guy. So they're always doing that. And that's the great thing. Virat has had, you look at the history of one-day international cricket, Virat Kohli is one of the greatest chasers in the history of the game. He's one of the greatest chasers. So his sense of a chase is so important out there in the middle because so much of it is also the two batsmen discussing what they're going to do in the next over, what's their strategy, who's going to take on which bowler. These are discussions that happen there. And Virat is a master at those tactics. Yeah, and Virat has said post the game that I'm in awe of Suryakumar Yadav. This is the best that I've seen him bat in the past 6 months, of course. And I think all of us agree with that, AJ. I mean, the kind of shots, especially the ones that he hits over covers, we've only heard from you guys that those aren't easy shots to hit. Shot making, there's no doubt about that. There's shot making ability that he has, especially in the middle of the game. You don't see anyone else. Rohit Sharma probably the only one who does it with so much ease. It's just that, when you say, world's best middle order at the moment, because, last couple of tournaments we haven't even qualified. So, if you're the world's best, you take your side through. And absolutely. So even in Asia Cup, he was part of that squad. Right. We couldn't get to the line. So I'll hold my horses. I'll hold my horses to make that. Because you've got Virat Kohli alongside him. And Virat Kohli's been doing it for 15 years. Absolutely. Shot making is great to watch. But from a team's point of view, you want some solidity as well. So when we come back at the end of the World Cup with the World Cup and Suryakumar Yadav's done well, it won't be me, it'll probably be you or anyone else who'd say he's the best in the world. Everyone's wishing it's the world that's saying. Yeah, exactly. No, I was just looking at that over. The over that really changed it for me was that 13th over from Zampa. Because Zampa is one of their best bowlers. This is not the easiest ground to hit in. And, it's favouring spinners. And he hits one ball, he muscles it over long on. And the next ball he hits inside out over cover. Those 2 sixes were momentum shifters. And I think that's what Surya does well. Yeah. And again, I'm telling you, there would have been a discussion saying, you take him on, I'm going to take him on.
Exactly what's happened, because Virat Kohli also said that Zampa was trying to slow my scoring rate, and then Suryakumar Yadav hit those 2 sixes and took the entire pressure off of me.
Absolutely, and that 15-run over was a very crucial over, and that's why partnerships are important, because constant talking to each other, understanding each other, and saying, okay, you're not very comfortable with this kind of bowler, I'm going to take him on. Yeah. That's a big partnership for India, and those are the kind of partnerships that are going to win matches for India.
Yeah. Key in that is to, partnership. I just want to point out there.
Yeah.
The set batsman is Virat Kohli. He's made sure that Suryakumar has more strike. Or in the other case,
absolutely,
Suryakumar's kept the strike. So when things are going well, you give the strike to the striker more, and you have 36 balls versus 24 balls.
Yeah.
So he's kept that strike, so he's got more runs at that stage. And that's a partnership.
Did Australia miss some partnerships in their bowling? Because AJ, when we came back at the end of 10 overs with Cricbuzz Combox, we were discussing this. I mean, if you have a look at their bowling card, they of course exercised all of their options. They had 6 options? 6 options were exercised. But there were some bowling changes that when we were watching the game together, you guys weren't very convinced with. Be putting off the paces and bringing in Adam Zampa. Then towards the end also, we saw Daniel Sams being given the final over, despite Cameron Green bowling so well. Do you think they missed the trick with that?
I think, like I said, at Combox over number 10, when we saw Zampa come in, and you can't blame them. It's like how we can't blame India playing in a certain way. The team wants to play in a certain way. They like this matchup business. And till today, Zampa was ruling the roost against Virat Kohli. So as soon as Virat Kohli walked in, last game in the 3rd over, today as soon as he came in. So that's the style of play that they play with. So what they did was take away the advantage that the seamers would have had.
Yeah.
And then obviously, because when you have a template of playing and you're going to bowl certain overs, you miss out on what somebody's having a great day or a bad day.
Yeah.
Cameron Green probably bowled the best. I mean, the numbers also showing that. He bowled the best, but he still didn't finish.
Yeah.
Because there is a template that you have to follow. You are playing in a certain way. And that 1 over that you see from Maxwell was also because you needed that 5th bowler. So when you play with templates, this is what happens. You preempt that this is our weakest bowler, this is our strongest bowler. So let's get through the weak bowlers. So that Maxwell over is when Suryakumar had just come in. Just about that. He hit a couple of cut shots ideally for him. So, number-wise, it looks good. But, from the team's point of view, the opposition is saying, oh, we've got onto a roll. Then Cameron Wood, who has a great day of bowling, because certain kind of bowling helps on a certain kind of wicket. So it was helping him, but they didn't go beyond those 3 overs. So this is there are advantages of any style you play. Yeah. So this is the big disadvantage of template play or matchup play, where you, before getting onto the field or the night before, you've done great research, you've figured out who plays well, who doesn't play well against somebody. But on that day, this is a sport, and that's why I'm a great admirer of knowledge and understanding and data, whatever you may call it, or common sense. But it is past, it's fact. What is happening today is an instinctive thing, and that's a very important thing in sport. So from that point of view, yes, I would look at it that way, but I think people who follow the template of matchup and numbers would say, look, they used all their resources. They didn't leave out anything at the back, or they didn't, miss out on anything. All their top bowlers bowled 4 overs each. They've, gone well. 5th over, they got through with, 11, 25 or 4 overs. That's a great thing. 5th over's gone for 25. But the game's gone at that stage.
Yeah.
That 11 runs is something that, became the catalyst for Indian team. And then Zampa bowls at a different stage. But that's for people like me who have, who think that, it is important to know what is good and bad, but it's important to figure out what will work today. And that doesn't seem to be in fashion anymore. So that's why I changed my fashion and got a red jacket.
The danger jacket. But that's true, because you've got to strike a balance, Joy, and something that Ashish Nehra, who's in our Hindi studios, was discussing as well. Did they not extract the best out of the pitch as well? Because they had the bowlers to do that.
They had the bowlers to do that, and I think the kind of bowling that they did, every time that, Josh Hazlewood went to a normal length because he was getting a certain amount of height and movement, or, a couple of balls that Cameron Green bowled, he was absolute jaffas, just cut through Virat Kohli. And that's the point, that when somebody does that, typically see a very classical captain like, say, Dhoni. Dhoni does what? He has 6, 7, 8 bowlers. Some days, Harbhajan Singh wouldn't get the ball at all, when he came back for the next in 2019. Some days he'd be bowling 4 overs, and it's instinct, it's understanding the flow and ebb of the game, and good captains do that very well. But if you've got a sheet in your back which is saying 16th over this guy, 18th over this guy, 20th over this guy, and you don't want to move away from it, if your fifth bowler has given you, or sixth bowler if you want to call it, has given you 14 of 3 overs, or fifth bowler, 14 of 3, that person has to bowl an extra over there. Somewhere, somewhere he's better than somebody else who's bowling there. And I think they missed a trick out there. They probably templatize it way too much, as Ajay is saying.
Yeah, and the templates should work perhaps as a supplementary function, as AJ and JB both are saying. They can't be the primary function. The primary function has to be the instinct, and that was kicking in for Cameron Green throughout this series. And how today with the ball as well, AJ, I mean, he was brilliant with the ball, as Joy just mentioned, that he was bowling those good lengths, extracting the best out of the surface, and then with the bat, he's in king form right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's batted brilliantly throughout, except for that second game where he ran himself out. But the first and the third, there you are. I mean, a start like that, strike rate like that, and the ability to hit. It just puts the opposition on the back foot. And once again, I think the reason why he's not part of that 2020 scheme is that template scheme. Yeah. Because, you know, he doesn't have the slower one or the Yorker or that kind of ball. But what he's got is very important as well. But they're not looking at that. So sometimes you may be a certain team, but if the team wants to play in a certain way, you don't fit in there. But so, you know, he's batted in the middle order mostly for Australia in the leagues there. I don't follow it really, so I'm not 100%
at 6
sure.
in the tests as well.
Yeah, but at tests, of course, I've seen him enough. So he's one of those middle order, and so they couldn't see what he could do at the top. But now that they've seen this, it will, you know, they'll start questioning. They'll say, oh, if we want to play with that template but strike at the top, here's a man who could do that. Yeah. But, you know, they were looking at him batting in the middle, bowling of a certain kind. It wasn't looking lucrative at that time for the Australian cricket thought. Yeah. But what they've seen in this series, I think will change their mind for sure. But can't do it now. It's too late for the World Cup unless somebody gets injured. Yeah. But, you know, this is a man for future. I mean, Tim David's taken a longer than we all expected him to be. The man for the future. Mumbai didn't, you know, trust him beyond 2 games. You know, made me look stupid. That's different. But, you know, I think this is the next guy. Yeah. This is the next guy.
And they have earmarked him as well. They say that...
Yeah, now see, now when you do something at international level at this quality, then you're going to pay millions for him. Yeah. The trick is to find players who, like Hardik Pandya, when he was found for Mumbai, it was 10-20 lakh player. That is the difference. And then you back and make a player and then you create that. In the market, whoever is at $1 million, $1.5 million, then you already know what's coming.
And
it's not about the money that they spend. It's the opposition that you beat. When you find a player that nobody else knows how he plays, it takes them 7-8 games to figure out how you play. So then the data and the matchup teams are that much far behind. So that way, I think people who are looking at him have already missed the bus because there'll be about 6 teams will be running after Cameron Green. It's green all the way, Mr. Green.
It is.
It's green dollars.
as we said in the pre-match show as well, he's perhaps already looking for supercars and good houses. But you've sat in a lot of these auction meetings, Joy. I mean, the auction is 3-4 months from now on. It's an December. Opening dasher who can bowl that well and can perhaps open the bowling for you as well with the new ball. How much do you think he's going to fetch?
Look, 2 things. One is that, you know, he can open the batting, he can smash the ball. Again, the only thing they'll look at is saying, how well does he play spinners? Because that's the only crucial thing in Indian conditions you're going to... But even if he doesn't play spinners particularly well, who else is there in the auction? This is a year where you'll only find released players. So perhaps if Ravindra Jadeja is released, he's going to be very expensive in the auction. But they aren't. 95% of the top players are already sitting with somebody or the other. Therefore, the 1 or 2 players who appear in smaller auctions have a incremental value that you will not find. Yeah. Cameron Green may not have got that much money in this year's auction if he had been taken. But next year's auction, given the scarcity of resources available, and see, there's always every year there's somebody who's come last or second last who needs to improve very fast. Yeah. And these are what they call quick fix options immediately. You know, I remember Gautam Gambhir telling all of us, the last pick that KKR took in 2014 was a certain Andre Russell. Yeah. And the reason we took it was he turned around and said that anyone who can bowl at 140 and whack the ball out of the ground, he's going to be useful sometime or the other. And of course, was he useful to KKR?
And how? And the rest is history.
Jadeja, has time come in the IPL that there are people who would look at, like you said, you know, spin is his weakness. would there be teams who will say, "Acha, listen, we want the opposition to bowl spin now at this stage of the game. Let's pick Cameron Green, so we make sure that when he goes in, the opposition will bowl spin."
Yeah, and exhaust their options.
I think that time's come to,
those kind of things happen. Those kind of things happen all the time.
So it'd be useful for that also.
Yeah.
How you want the opposition to play, you can dictate these days.
And I know where his scheme of thought has come, where Ajay's thought has come, because Gautam Gambhir in McCullum, it was a lot like that. You bowled spin in McCullum, but you got Gambhir to bat, then
to spin.
It's the whole thing.
So it's not just about how you want to play, it's the opposition. And now that you have teams who, almost pre-decide how they want to play, and that's their style of play, you can actually, what's that, apple cart girana, dusre ko kya bolte English mein?
Upset the apple cart.
Upset the apple cart of the opposition by playing players with weakness.
Yeah.
Today was a great example. We had Zampa come on again early, where this ball was seaming around. So it can almost be used as a tactic now, and it should have been used many years ago. I feel that we are still way behind.
Yeah, but the one guy who upset the apple cart for Australia and now was Akshar Patel. So, such a good performance. Joy, I mean, with the bat, we didn't get to see much of him. That one shot that we saw was brilliant, that straight drive. But throughout this series, he has been on point. I mean, he's never let anyone miss Ravindra Jadeja right now in this series.
He's had an absolutely superb series. And actually, today was the most expensive day that he's had. I think he gave away 33 or something. But
33, yeah.
The great thing about him was, today, when the ball was not turning, he gave you value. When the ball was turning, he gave you value. He gave you value in 8-over matches, which are very tough to bowl for any bowler. He was absolutely consistent, and Ravindra Jadeja is such a big part of the Indian setup. Yeah. Akshar Patel would have realized he's got an opportunity. You wouldn't get an opportunity, you wouldn't come close if Jadeja was around you, because he's exactly the mirror image of that kind of player. So this opportunity, he's just grabbed with both hands, and I think the spinners were the key for India today. And if you look how Australia finished and how they started, they could have been 200 plus.
Yeah.
And those 55 runs of those 8 overs, and that's Akshar Patel, and thankfully Chahal is back. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, he's of course being adjudged the player of the series, but if we had to have a consensus here, we'd also pick him as our player of the series, AJ?
I think Joyda picked him in the last game.
He did,
right?
Yeah, he did.
Or this morning, even before the game started. And because once he had that first game, the kind of quality game that he had, it looked from there on that he was, going to lead. And Joyda was absolutely right. Is he now the man of the series?
He is, yes.
I mean, and I feel happy for him. I mean, think of this man. This man makes it to the Indian team with so much hard work, where Ravindra was struggling at that stage when he was dropped out or when he got injured. He makes it to the team, comes to the test match team, picks up 30-odd wickets in 3 test
27
matches.
and 3 test matches.
Does exceptionally well. And then he breaks down. And Ravindra gets a chance to come back. He comes in, then he seals his position, and Akshar has had to wait for 2.5, 3 years. And now he's got his opportunity back, and he's not complaining. He's grabbed it with both hands. And that's what happens with Indian cricket. I mean, because, yes, we will all miss Ravindra at the moment, but nobody is missing him from that point of view.
Yeah.
That, the role that he was playing, especially with bowling, he's in fact added to it. And he bats pretty well, so he can match there. It's probably fielding that, he doesn't match. But, when you're playing in a team that's winning, teams don't look back to anyone who was there when, or who was there then. It's the winning team that carries on. So from Akshar's point of view, he'd be just hoping that he can carry this on, come back, win the World Cup and come back, and then we'll all be sitting here and wondering, how does Ravindra make it to this side again? Because he did exactly that to Ravindra, to Akshar, and now, the tables have turned. I mean, I feel bad for Ravindra, but this is the reality of life.
So then India make it 2-1 in this series, win this series in the build-up to that very important T20 World Cup, which means we've got to come to the report card at some point. Positives for India, Joy, from this series?
Well, definitely Virat. Akshar, definitely. I mean, right up at the top. Akshar, Virat. I thought, Rohit Sharma in the last match, again, playing a match-winning innings was important. Surya playing was important. I think Bumrah wasn't particularly great in this match, but I think in the last match he showed, the signs that, at least he's fully fit, and those Yorkers, those lethal Yorkers he still has. I think those definitely are positives for India. I also didn't mind, though he bowled just 2 overs today, I thought Harshal finished well today.
Yeah.
So all those for me are positives, definitely. Few question marks, but they're always there. But those are the positives.
For you, AJ?
Yeah, Joyda's caught them all. I mean, that's, that's the whole team. I mean, we've got I mean, just to add, I think KL's last couple of games may be bad, but your problem of 150 strike rate he managed when he got past that 20 balls. So when you look at now, the stability of the mind seems to be there. They are sure of people that they want. They are sure of how they want to play. That for me is a very important aspect going into the World Cup. Because every team was trying to win. They are all trying to do the best. But unless you believe that you've come best prepared and you've not left out anybody that you wanted, is a good place to be. And all of them, all the question marks have been answered, like Joydas mentioned. So I think if I could add to what he said, is just that I think the stability of the team, of the mindset, is probably the biggest plus. I may not agree with it. A couple of players I still, but that's but
absolutely.
What is good is this, that the guys who are leading the side, running the side, wanted to play in a certain way, wanted to have certain players in that side. It wasn't easy to bring them into the side. I have got all that. Now, when you look at this 11, look at what's outside. Your spinner goes back. You've got a Ravichandran Ashwin ready. With experience, with style. Your batting, you've got a player who's pretty good enough. With bowling, you've got Arshdeep to join this gang. So I feel now that you are now what you wanted. You've got 100%. There is no looking back now.
All right. So any concerns? Concerns at all? I mean, perhaps death overs bowling, or that's also something that they'll... I mean, of course, they've worked on it, and then there was this conundrum between DK and Pant. But I think that we've pretty much sorted. You said that this is the kind of team that they want to go with, and DK will perhaps be a sure starter.
I think they're looking at it exactly. I think that they've given clear indications that DK is the way they want to go. So barring injury or something, I think that's the way they want to go. I mean, the only thing that's left is the next series. Bhuvaneshwar will be going for... so Arshdeep will get a run in. What will change there is an interesting matter. Shami, of course, may get an opportunity, but I don't think they'll play Shami if Arshdeep is fit, simply because I think they'll want to give all World Cup bound players a chance before they give anyone else a chance.
Yeah. All right. So let's have a look. Let's start talking about India, South Africa already. India play back-to-back cricket. Of course, this starts on Wednesday. The first T20I in Thiruvananthapuram, the second in Guwahati, the third in Indore. Of course, after that, the ODI starts from October 6th. But for those three T20Is, AJ, the squad has some minor changes. Of course, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Hardik Pandya won't be available. They will go for the conditioning-related things at the NCA, something that we discussed earlier as well. And Arshdeep will come back in, who's done his course of conditioning-related work at the NCA. But apart from that, of course, Mohammad Shami will come back from his COVID infection. The rest of the squad looks absolutely the same.
Yeah, I mean, they've got it all sorted now. What happens in Bangalore, I have no clue what's happening there. But it seems to be a place where everybody has to go, matha teko, and come back. Only thing I differ from Joyda is I think Shami will play, and that reason is very simple, because the one that you announced who's back up is Mohammad Shami. And Mohammad Shami, I'm a great fan of Mohammad Shami. But when Mohammad Shami I haven't seen for 2-3 months and he's away from Indian cricket, I don't know what he's been up to. He enjoys his food, he enjoys his life. So it's not easy for somebody to get physically fit just because you made a call. And he's not a young man. He's at that age that you probably need a little extra effort. I hope I'm wrong, and Shami's been working exceptionally hard. So I thought it was, whether it was COVID or whatever, at least he got another week. And if the team wants him as a backup, something goes wrong, they would, whatever fitness it is, they would want to get him into 2, 3, 4 games so that he's ready just in case if you need, because it's not for a replacement. So knowing Rohit, and now that you see how they want to go, I have a feeling that Mohammad Shami will play those games. And Ashwin will also be playing that series. Couple of reasons. One, to get him also in groove, and two, couple of left-handers in the opposition side that you've got. And one by the name of Mr. Miller is something that you would worry about. So those two, I think, will probably get a game or run in that South African series.
Let's have a look at South Africa's T20I squad as well. This is, of course, the squad that they've announced for the T20 World Cup as well. And this is the same squad that's touring. And this is a power-packed squad, Joy. I mean, right from the top, you've got Quinton de Kock, David Miller, as AJ was mentioning, then Aiden Markram, Klaassen, Riley Russo's been doing really well, Reza Hendricks, Tristan Stubbs, the new hotshot in town for them. And then the bowlers, of course, you've got Kagiso Rabada, Anrik Noke, Tabrez Shamsi, Keshav Maharaj, Lungi and Giri. So this is a power-packed squad.
This is a potentially World Cup winning squad. Of course, you've said that about South Africa so many times. They've proved us wrong so many times. So I don't want to say it, but they have all the weapons. They have all the weapons. They have the quality in their batting. They have the all-rounders, and I think somebody like a Parnell's come back, played a lot of county. He looks a very different player.
Yeah.
Looks a very responsible player. He was this young tearaway left armer who could really swing it, could whack it with the ball. But he does far more for you. And that bowling attack is potentially in Australian conditions. That's a terrific bowling attack. I mean, when Rabada, Ngidi, Nokia, that's a really, really good bowling side.
Yeah, and they're going to challenge the Indian
Jensen's
batters.
missing for me.
Jansen is missing.
Jensen was one, and that's the call that they've made. I mean, when each teams look at things
so he's their Cameron Green.
So no, he's there. Parnell comes in because of him. I presume they both bowl. So they've gone for experience and somebody who bowls that Yorker. Parnell's one of those Yorker bowlers outside off stump. He was one of those founders of that. So, the tides turned. They brought him back because they feel Rabada, Nokia and Lungi and Ngidi are those pure bowlers that you have in your side. Let's keep one rather than pure, bring in somebody like that. So that's one thing. And batting, they've got, this is an interesting batting. And I'm with Joyda. This is a team that will surprise you in a way because how they play abroad or how they play for all the franchise teams are different roles that they play. Here they play different roles for them. So opposition will look at, if they are looking at only numbers and how somebody plays, then you would have more data of those league games. Whereas here they all be playing different roles. So this is a team that could surprise a lot of teams in that World Cup, and unfortunately they're in our pool.
Yeah.
See, I'll tell you one other interesting thing. What has happened is because, and this is how geopolitics impacts everything. Because Brexit has happened, and therefore what happens, Kolpak no longer applies. So two players who were completely outside the South African system, Riley Rousseau and Wayne Parnell, have made their way back. And now they're really experienced batsmen in the county circuit. So they give you a certain amount of experience and value. And that value, I think they're trying to translate into results as well. So this is a dangerous team. Exactly. They're probably a dangerous team. They could lose by 10 wickets, but also on their day, they could blow away any opposition.
Yeah. And
plus, when you look at that side, it's a tough one to pick an 11.
Exactly, I was about to ask, what's the batting order going to look like?
In one side, it's tough to pick an 11. On the other side, you have a choice to play in many different ways within that side. Because, Ngidi, Nokia, Rabada, pure pace, go with it. Bring in your Samji, who's pure bowler again, and add another bowler. But they like, Pretorius to play. He bowls towards the end. He can bat a little. Parnell coming back. So actually, they've put a side on a bowling side. I'm looking at bowling only first. That they could actually go in with pure bowling in terms of, not having what we call specialist or the deceiving kind of bowlers and pure bowling as well. Or they could go the other way and have a couple of these guys and have that style of play as well. And then batting, who do you pick? Stubbs is supposed to be very good, they say.
It's too good. He's been in red hot form.
Who's better, Stubbs or Quinton de Kock?
Quinton de Kock has
so they have the same problem. So they will have. So when we look at that squad, it's looking very good. But I want to see what is it that they're going to come out with, play that 11. So in that first game, I'd be most interested to see how they play the Indian conditions.
Yeah, correct. And Thiruvananthapuram is where they start. And you'd still want the pitches like we saw in the Australia series. You'd like similar pitches just to prepare both teams, of course, especially India, to prepare against the pace of Nokia, to prepare against the pace of Rabada. You'd like some good true tracks there as well?
Look, we need true tracks just to prepare for Australia. Forget about anything else. Just play them in the right conditions. Play them as close to those conditions. Look, it doesn't always happen. It's not that easy to do. It's not that easy for... I don't know what the Trivandrum pitch now is, but, it used to be a pretty decent track. It wasn't ever a very slow or sticky track.
This is, I think, happening at the new ground, the Greenfield Stadium.
Plus, these days you don't know because Pat Cummins can bowl 145, 150. But in the 12, no, not 12, 8 and 4, 10 overs that he's bowled on this tour, which is 60 balls, he's probably bowled 36 balls, which were slower ones. So if you prepare bouncy tracks and they keep bowling spin.
With Nokia and Rabada, you can kind of expect the pacey to
You never know. With Rabada also these days we see, it comes in. I think it's becoming difficult for certain players not to play how everybody else is playing. It's like fashion. I mean, or, trends that you have, or, modern day life has become so demanding in ways. So players, I see that happening to players as well, that you feel left out if you don't have some skill. Cameron Green, prime example, can't bowl slower ones, can't bat this. So not part of the 2020 setup. But now that he's succeeded, it'll change. So it'll be interesting to see what they are going to come up with.
Now, so the last time South Africa toured India, and it wasn't that long back, the series was drawn 2-2. The last game was a washout. They will pose a better challenge now because this is a full-strength South Africa squad. One player that you're watching out for, Joy, from the squad. You can name two as well. They're so good.
Look, I love Tristan Stubbs. I think he's a sensational player.
Me too.
But I'll tell you the guy that for me holds that team together and he's a key for them. He's the guy, is Aiden Markram. He's very, very talented. He can bowl a bit of spin for you as well. But the interesting thing about it is he's the guy who's that classical number 4. And he's not going to score at 160, 170. He's that Virat Kohli for them, 135, 40 player. Other players play around him. Of course, De Kock is unquestionable talent. But for me, I enjoy watching Markram and I think he's still work in progress. And Tristan Stubbs is just this young kid who looks absolutely spectacular. I love to watch him bat.
Yeah, correct. Indian players to watch out for you, AJ?
Indian players to watch out now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone you'd still keep an eye on.
I mean, somebody who'll have a good series, I think KL Rahul. With that kind of bowling, works perfect. And he hasn't had a good, as good a series that he would want. I think KL Rahul's the man I will be watching out for. And I hope they play Ravichandran Ashwin because he's a man that I will watch out for. He could make a difference from India's point of view.
Yeah, well, India move on from one bilateral series versus Australia to another versus South Africa in a matter of days, where we, of course, will join you with Cricbuzz Live. But right now, it's time for the joy factor question, which I, again, partially cracked, and I should get passing marks, but let's have a look at the question first. Joy.
Greg Chappell, Deepak Patel, Kapil Dev, and the fourth name on this list. And, of course, Ajay almost gave it all away.
Yeah.
And
I had no clue. I was giving...
Sachitra Senanayake all dismissed a non-striker for backing up early in one-day international matches. Of course, it's happened in other places. But this is specifically, of course, we know why we are discussing this. Charlie Evans and there's so much we've discussed about this. I won't take it any further today.
Yeah, correct. And I knew that there's got to be some sort of a current affairs undercurrent to the joy factor question. So that is why I just guessed. It was a pure guess, but I got half the marks. But let's see who got full marks today for the joy factor question. Who's the winner? Rajat Bhargava is the winner. Many, many congratulations, Rajat, for answering the correct joy factor, the full joy factor question, not like me, just an informed guess, but a full one. So then, that's all the time we have on Cricbuzz Live today. This was a good series. Some very, very good competitive cricket that we saw.
Yeah, very good series. One of the top world champions in this format of the game. Number 1 ranked team, and they ran each other pretty close. Every game finished in the last over. We are happy that we won 2-1, but it was a well-fought series. It wasn't one of those series that went...
Not a blowout series.
And for India, I think it was a great series to have because we got a lot of positives out, and more than anything else, the clear of mind, what Virat Kohli talked about himself as an individual just before that Asia Cup, and you saw how that changed. I am hoping and praying that the team mindset is now that it's as clear as Virat Kohli's mind will also change the way India plays. So South Africa series, South Africa, watch out.
South Africa, watch out. Yes, South Africa, watch out. You guys watch out as well for Cricbuzz Live. We'll be here, of course, in Hindi and English throughout that series. But that's all the time that we have today. Thank you, AJ, for joining us throughout this series.
It's always a pleasure to be alongside you. And with Joyda around, we are getting educated.
Every day.
I'm just having fun. We're all having a lot of fun out here. Thank you.
That is true. Thank you so much to all of you for joining in as well. We'll see you all super soon.